Few places in the world are as strategically located as Singapore. It's not just a hub of business and culture, but it also sits right in the middle of the world's fastest growing aviation market. So it was fitting then that aviation strategy took center stage at this year's Singapore Airshow. While most air shows are defined by mega orders, this one was defined by subtle strategic shifts. Ones that could completely reshape the industry and create some big winners and losers in the long run. So who actually are the winners and losers of the 2026 Singapore Airshow? Let me explain. Now, you've probably heard me mention that I've been trying to get in shape for my wedding, and now that it's just a few months away, it's officially go time. The problem is that with all of my travels, my routines keep falling apart, and I keep finding myself back at square one. So for this final stretch, my goal is just to be consistent. That's what's gonna make the biggest difference, and AG1 is helping me do exactly that. AG1 Next Gen helps to fill common nutritional gaps. With 75 plus ingredients, including 5 strains of probiotics, it helps to replace all your multivitamins, probiotics, and more in one fell swoop. And in taking it, I've gotten a solid nutritional foundation to support my energy levels, digestion, and immune system. Now, it doesn't replace workouts or eating well. No supplement can do that. But it does help me stay in routine and round out the areas where I'm deficient. If you want to try AG1 for yourself, you can get a whole bunch of extra goodies when you subscribe using my link, like 3 free AG1 travel packs, 3 AGZ travel packs, a free vitamin D3K2, and an AG1 welcome kit. And when you support AG1, you're also supporting me and my work, which is an awfully nice wedding gift. Thanks to AG1 for sponsoring today's video, and now let's get to it. The first winner of the show is the Boeing 787-10. Boeing's been talking for years about increasing the plane's max takeoff weight, but with everything they've had on their plate lately, those plans have kept getting pushed back. But no longer, as at the show, Boeing disclosed that it would soon be delivering the very first 787-10 with an increased max takeoff weight. By strengthening the plane's body and gear, Boeing's been able to increase the Dash 10's MTOW by about 14,000 pounds. Now, airlines could use this to carry more cargo or passengers, but the real value here is range. The plane can now carry a bunch of extra fuel, enough to extend flight duration by about 430 nautical miles. This really matters because it means that the Dash 10 can finally serve as a real replacement for the 777-200ER. The two jets have roughly the same capacity, but the Dash 10's range has always fallen well short. This means it's been unable to serve as a true trans-Pacific workhorse, and as a result, many Asian operators have instead bought the competing A350-900 for their long-haul needs. For Boeing, this stings, because 1, the 777-200ER was super popular in the region, and 2, the 787-10 already lives in many Asian fleets, mostly flying regional trunk routes. If only the plane had better range, it could be dominating this part of the world. Now though, the Dash 10's range is much more in line with its predecessor, and can penetrate far deeper into the North American market. And while it didn't win any orders at the show itself, its value prop for customers in the region just improved drastically. However, the Dash 10 isn't the only Dreamliner that's getting an update. The 787-9 is getting a boost too. Its MTOW is increasing by 10,000 pounds, enough for about 300 extra miles of range. This will give the ultra long-haul missions that it already flies today, like New York to Auckland, far more operational margin. The second big winner of the show is Comac. Here's a piece of news that you might have missed. A few weeks ago, a brand new version of the C919 quietly rolled off the production line in Shanghai. It's called the C919-600, a shortened version of the jet designed for high-altitude operations. Now, this new variant didn't show up at Singapore, it hasn't even flown yet, but its existence is really important. Every time a jet maker introduces a new variant, it will complicate the production line. And that's something that Comac has struggled with. They only managed to build about 25 C919s last year. The fact that they're now adding a new variant could be a sign that they're starting to get the hang of building aircraft at scale. The company was then able to build off this momentum at the show itself, with a number of really interesting orders and announcements. But I think the single most important update was the progress that they've made on engine development. Building engines is probably the single hardest challenge in aircraft production. They are super complex, and so far, Comac's largely had to lean on Western suppliers to power their planes. However, they'd like that to change for their next project, dubbed the C929. Comac hopes to use the Chinese-built CJ2000 to power that new widebody, and at the show, it was revealed that the engine is now in advanced testing, far ahead of schedule. As a result, there are whispers that the C929 itself might take flight even earlier than its projected 2030 target. Of course, Singapore didn't yield Comac its Golden Goose, a firm order from a major Western airline. That milestone still eludes them. But there is no denying the trajectory here. Every single day, it seems that Comac is becoming a more credible challenger to Boeing and Airbus. Airbus's own CEO even acknowledged this week that Comac is no longer a distant rival, and that speaks volumes to just how far the company's actually come. Okay, so those are the key winners of the show. Before we move on to the losers, I wanted to address something that a bunch of you guys have been asking me lately, and that's why I haven't been making as many long-form videos. And the totally honest answer is that the YouTube algorithm way prefers shorts these days, so that's what I've been focusing on. Of course, I know that a lot of you guys follow me for this kind of deep dive analysis, and I really still like making them. So if you want to see more of this long form stuff in 2026, I'm gonna need your help to fight the algorithm a bit. I know it is tacky to say, but liking, subscribing, and commenting go really far in telling the algorithm what it is you guys want to see. So if you wouldn't mind, please do all of those things. Thank you. Okay, now let's move on to the losers. The first loser of the show is the Airbus A220. It's no secret that the A220s had a rough go of it. Over the past 2 years, sales have pretty much flatlined. But coming into Singapore, it really looked like things were gonna change. Rumors were swirling that AirAsia, the region's largest and most influential LCC, was seriously eyeing the jet. Some even suggested that they'd place an order for roughly 100 units at the show. This would have been a really big deal for two key reasons. First, the A220 program still lacks a marquee customer in Asia Pacific. And second, it doesn't yet have a major low-cost juggernaut in its Rolodex. A deal with AirAsia would check both boxes at once. But the show came and went, and nothing. Why? Well, we don't exactly know, but I've got a hunch that it has to do with the engine. The A220 is powered by the Pratt & Whitney GTF, which is super efficient, but has also been dogged by production issues and reliability concerns. And for a low-cost carrier like AirAsia, reliability is everything. They push their planes hard with lots of cycles, and if the engines aren't up to the task, well, it would pose a real operational threat. Now, I still think AirAsia might buy the jet eventually. After all, the plane is still a fit with their stated goal of increasing frequencies and opening up routes to more secondary cities. Not to mention, they've reportedly been negotiating on an A220 deal for over 2 years now. But it seems like Pratt still has some work to do before the airline actually commits to the type. The next loser of the show is the Boeing 777X. The 777X has some hugely important customers in Asia, including Singapore Airlines and Cathay Pacific. And there are a host of other airlines in the region, especially those in China, that could realistically place an order in the near future. That would make Singapore a pretty natural place for Boeing to want to show the jet off. And with an additional test plane recently joining the flight test campaign, it makes it a whole lot easier for them to bring a 777X to the show without disrupting the program's testing schedule. And yet, she was nowhere to be found. While we don't know the exact reason for its absence, some recent news might give us a clue. In the weeks leading up to the show, Aviation Week reported that Boeing discovered another issue with the plane's GE9X engine. That's now the third major hiccup that the power plants faced during testing. and Boeing probably didn't want to open itself up to further questions by bringing it to the show. Now, Boeing and GE haven't actually specified what exact components are being affected here, but we do have two clues we can use to help form a hypothesis. First, this new issue is described as being a durability one. Second, the problem isn't actually expected to delay entry into service. That's still slated for 2027. Reading between the lines here, my guess is that we're seeing premature wear somewhere in the engine's hot section, similar to the well-documented turbine issues on the Trent XWB-97. This problem seems to check both boxes. It represents a durability concern, but not a safety of flight issue that would derail certification. But make no mistake, if this is actually what's going on here, it's a really big deal. The 777X's biggest customers include the likes of Qatar and Emirates, airlines that operate in hot, sandy climates that are a nightmare for engine durability. These customers have been begging Boeing to deliver better reliability with the 777X program, and its GE9X engine was supposed to give them exactly that. If turbine wear is indeed the issue here, those customers are not going to be happy. If there is any silver lining here, it's this. Boeing did reveal at the show that the first production 777X, a plane that'll eventually be delivered to Lufthansa, will fly for the very first time in April. This will be a big milestone when it actually happens. Let's hope there are no more hiccups that'll push things back even further. The last loser of the show is the mega order. Now, I don't know about you, but I've grown almost numb to the sheer size of the deals we've been seeing at airshows lately. They often amount to hundreds of aircraft worth tens of billions of dollars. But Singapore had no such order, and that's kind of surprising. You see, Asia Pacific is booming. Boeing's latest commercial market outlook suggests that it'll be the world's fastest growing aviation market over the next 20 years, and it'll need about 8,000 new aircraft to keep up. And yet, the single largest commercial order at its local airshow was an Air Cambodia deal for just 20 737 MAXs, a deal that would barely register at Dubai or Paris. So why were things so quiet? Well, part of it is cultural. In contrast to, say, the Gulf carriers who always love making a splash, many Asian airlines tend to be more reserved and less focused on PR theatrics. And then there's just the matter of timing. A lot of the region's heavy hitters, like Cathay, Singapore Airlines, ANA, Korean, and more, have already placed big deals in recent years. They're just not under the same pressure to announce big orders right now. As a result, the airshow did feel a little bit more muted than I was expecting. But that also comes with a nice trade-off. Without any mega orders, it gave smaller but still interesting stories room to shine. Those include some of the things we already discussed, like improvements to the Dreamliner and the accelerated pace of the C929. But one additional story that I actually found most interesting was when CFM announced it was forming a partnership with Singapore Changi Airport. Through this deal, Changi will serve as a testing environment for CFM's radical open fan engine. This is a strong signal that the company is very serious about actually bringing this novel design to market. Now, this kind of story would normally get drowned out at a bigger, flashier airshow, but it still offers a really interesting look into where the industry is headed. And I think that giving those kind of strategic stories more room to breathe is a whole lot more interesting than just reporting on another airplane order. So those are the winners and losers of the 2026 Singapore Airshow. Sorry that I couldn't actually be on the ground this time. I think this breaks a streak of like 6 or 7 airshows that I've actually attended. But I should be at Farnborough this summer with some really exciting personal updates and updates about this channel. So be sure you're following and getting subscribed and following me on all my other socials to stay in the loop. Thank you so much to my patrons for helping to make this video possible. If you like what I do and want to help the channel grow, go ahead and check out this link right here. And as always, if you learned something new today, leave a like and subscribe to keep learning. And until I see you again, don't forget to look up.